something.
Best friend is when you've not done anything.
Yeah.
When you've done something X.
That's unrealistic,
I'm telling
bro.
you, it's unrealistic. It's unrealistic. Yes, you can have a best friend, but when it comes to an
You might as well just get in a relationship with God then.
Would you allow them? Would you feel comfortable with them being best friends with the opposite sex? So with another guy in your case?
If they were before I met them, I think I'm quite comfortable because you can't come and discharge people from people's lives because you don't know the stuff they went through together, what the person was there, the time they've supported them. So you can't just come and like you decide to, okay, I'm going to take this, I'm going to put this there. It doesn't work that way. But if I'm dating my woman and you bring some Tom and Jerry and like, oh, this is my best friend, I mean, it's going to need a valid reason to why they're your best friend. Because as a man, I don't want you spending too much time with this guy because at the end of the day, let's be real, men, we're still men. Like, I'm still going to see him as a man. To use your best friend, I'm seeing him as the next man that spends time with my wife. Yeah, so if it was somebody that when I met you, you guys had this relation, I will include him to the relationship because he's somebody that means a lot to you. And if he means a lot to you, it means a lot to me too. So that's kind of how I'll say it. But I still feel then it's down to my woman to then, from when you've got a man now, you've got to, what's the word? Adjust. You can't. I became first. He's still your best friend, but I come first.
You put boundaries in.
There you go. You gotta how you separate that time. Like you can't be calling you on 1 o'clock when like come on, what's happening? So it's down to you to put respect on our relationships. But I think I don't have a problem with them having a best friend.
I
think it's a tricky one. True. Because you think about it, like if there's something that's good that you see in that woman. What's to say that guy doesn't say it as well? I can't think that guy. I don't know his thoughts. Yeah. And people change as much, as you go on in life. Maybe you might not like it now, but maybe in like 5 years you might actually like it. Then what you gonna do? I think sometimes you just gotta use a bit of wisdom. Because you gotta know that we are still men and that's still a woman. You know what I mean? Also, like, concerning like maybe like boundaries and stuff like that. For me personally, it's a no. You know what I mean? I'll say that from the it's a no. Because stuff like that, I'm like, nah, I'm alright. I'll pass through it. But I think if someone is going to do it, because I'm going to take chances. Because I'm a man. You know what I mean? I know I'm an alpha now, so I know. To me, how I think he probably thinking this. He might think the same thing. If I'm seeing value in another woman, I'm thinking like, why is he not seeing that? You know what I mean? Yeah. So to me, nah. But I think if someone's going to do it, I think it's a case of you might have to put like real boundaries. They come and go for like some cocktails and both from I like tipsy and that's my view because I think you're just putting yourself in a line of danger. That's what I think. Yeah. Especially like if you think about it, maybe you get in a relationship for like years, and then you get married and it's like, oh, I'm gonna see my friend. Yeah, I'm just gonna go. like if you're going camping, whatever. Nah.
I think it's time scales.
Yeah.
If it's before the relationship, I think it's different. I think. If you're with your partner and someone's news introduced into that situation, then there's boundaries. But I've had my best friend as a woman since 11 years old, it's not fair for my woman to come into that and say, I don't want you spending time with that person anymore. I think it's timescales, and I think like there should be boundaries within that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's about necessarily not being friends, but if we're Christians now, so our relationship, for example, if you're courting someone, would be like a friendship per se. Obviously, it's intentional. So now, if you have a second person, isn't that a conflict of interest? Because we're not saying you can't be friends with anyone, but it's that best friend role that we're now saying. Is that healthy? Is that necessary now?
So let's just say me and Jonathan are best friends, and I have a partner. So does that mean I have to push Jonathan out now?
No, but your partner will be.
I'm getting to my point. But would it mean I have to push Jonathan out now?
I think the relationship we have with Jonathan is different to the relationship we have with women.
No, but
That's
I can
how
have a
you-
female best friend, and we do the.
But I guess it depends on how you
I think
define
I
best
would
friend.
also it depends on
Yes,
if you've done something with that
Yeah, that's what I'm
person.
saying. Like, if she's your best friend, you don't have to have a intimate relationship with
But
that
the
person.
relationship between a man and a woman will always have a degree of intimacy.
Yeah.
How I relate with Maya, Cynthia, will never be the same of how me and Jonathan will be friends.
Yeah.
There'll always be something different.
Yeah.
And a man coming in, I guess that's why you mean conflict of interest, like, because it's like, if you're my emotional confidant, because we're just friends, there's nothing physical, nothing sexual, but we have an emotional bond. What are we building? Because then me and you are in a relationship, and I have my emotional confidant. Now what are you bringing to me that he can't
He's
give
not
me?
fulfilling,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Apart from intimacy, physical intimacy. So wouldn't that now bring a conflict of interest?
Again, I think it
It's
really
a tough
depends,
one.
because I have one of my best friends is a female who's been my friend since I was 16 years old. She's now married, but because she's married, I have boundaries, I have respect. So that's what I'm saying. I still consider her to be one of my best friends. Doesn't mean I have to speak to her every day, but she's still one of my best friends, and nothing can ever change that. And I would never disrespect her husband. So I think that's why I say it really depends on time scales. So I would think it would be very unfair to try and push somebody out that's already had that position. Do you get what I'm saying? As long as you have that communication, because I understand that my lady might have a problem with it. I might have a conversation with my friend and say, look, I know we used to be like this, but it might be a little bit different because, you know, my woman don't like it. And that's just an honest dialogue that I have.
Yeah.
But I couldn't really expect that now to just be pushed aside. So I can only speak on my experience because I know it personally, and I would never disrespect her husband. Do you know what I'm saying? So as long as you're being respectful and you have boundaries and you communicate, I think you can still have the opposite sex as a best friend, in my opinion.
And I think it depends on another thing, that to have that kind of relationship, you've got to make sure, like, in your relationship, the foundation is trust, first of all. Because I feel the bottom line is people are going to do what they want to do. Like, if your woman or your man wanting to cheat on you, you're powerless. There's nothing you can do. If they wanted to go there, they'll go there. So you can't dictate how people live their life, although you share the life with them. They still make their own decisions. So there's got to be the element of trust and value in terms of what you two have together. Once that's understood, I think you wouldn't even have to question the friendship they have, because you both know exactly what is it that you share together. Because I think there's a lot of relationships, but there's not a lot of understanding. There's people that are together, but they're living two separate lives. Like, the only thing they're together is intimacy, like what Steffi said. Like, you share intimacy, but your values, your views, like, everything's separated. So for a relationship like that, it takes just a little thing to tip it off, and you both see different sides. But there's people that are so connected that, like, they'll be so friendly with you, you'll be thinking, do they like me or something? And I'm like, oh no, sorry, like, I love my man. Like, they're confident, and I think confidence sometimes radiate. You find that, for a guy personally, a lot of women that have a partner tend to look more attractive, because you value,
What you don't have.
not even that, it's just, not even that.
Wow.
Not even that. It's like, I think you value that sense of loyalty.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that they're so loyal, you know they won't budge, and it makes them attractive. It's that sense of commitment. And that's what you see even for guys. Like, I'm single right now, I'm chilling, right? I guarantee you, if I went to put somebody out there like, yo, that's my girl, I'll be popping. That's just how it is. Suddenly everybody wants you. Like, women who look at man, you see how people treat you. You talk to a girl and say you're married. Watch, oh really? Oh my God. The level, you're up there. Your stock market goes up because, wow, you actually can commit. You actually can settle. You're a gentleman. People value you differently. So I just think, like, once you have something that you value and you pull value into it, relationship based on trust, like, you won't even have time to question, like, oh, who's my girl talking to? Because you know they can handle that.
Yeah.
But if you insecure of them handling that, it becomes a problem, because every guy becomes a threat to you. it's like what's she liking him? Or what's so cool? Like,
So
Just quickly to Minister, and then we'll go back to
Yeah.
you in the meantime.
Okay. Yeah, I think that we look at it a bit too deeply, to be honest. My understanding of the word best is number one at the top. Yeah. A spouse, as it is about a spouse, right?
Mhm.
A spouse is meant to be your number one person.
Yeah.
Like it says that the two become one flesh. It's literally supposed. No one is supposed to be your number one over your spouse, right? So how can you have a spouse and then have a person who you're better friends with than your spouse? Now, it's not wrong to have a good friend or a close friend, but a best friend though, the number one. No. That's your spouse.
I think people have different definition of best friends though. So it's like a to call someone your best friend is like giving someone a title of we're on a different level than just a friend. You know what I'm saying? So when
it's like family, basically.
yeah, so you can have, in my opinion, like you can have, it's just me, you can have a few different, but like this person, he's one of my best friends, one of my best friends, and collectively.
Okay, yeah, that's not what I would call
Yeah,
best friend,
but it's, yeah. But I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
Can I ask you a question overall? So you're saying about you can have a female best
Yeah.
friend.
Yeah.
Would the dynamics change if that female who's your best friend you've had a sexual relationship like in the past?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you,
because you've already crossed, you know, because if I have to be fair. Anything that I'm going to expect for myself, I've got to expect that from my partner. So if my partner's had an encounter with her best friend, then it's obviously I wouldn't have.
So you're saying your female best friend from 11 years old.
Yeah.
So if you've already had a sexual encounter with her,
Yeah.
and then now you're with your wife,
Yeah.
you're telling me you lucked the one that you've been.
I'm not saying it has to necessarily be locked off, but the way the line of communication would have to shift, would have to be different. We don't want to be fair, because if it was the other way around and my partner had an encounter with someone, whatever that would be, sexually, whatever, and now I'm in a life and she's still communicating with him on the same way, that's going to be a problem to me, and I think I'm in my right to feel that way. So on the opposite side, if my partner didn't like it, I would have to address it, and there would have to be some changes made.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Moxie?
So far I've just been listening to everyone. I totally agree with my brother, he always say. I don't feel that the moment you get into a relationship and you have an opposite sex as a best friend, that the level should still be there. Like what Mr. Michael said, your best friend, your first and foremost should be your partner. If you cannot tell your partner this, and you have a best friend as a male, and you go tell him, I don't understand, what would you be telling him? That's what I believe. What would you be telling him that you can tell me? Because I feel, yes, the person might be in the picture before I came in, but now I'm the one you've accepted to live with, to build a life with. I'm the person you should talk to before that person. Because the same things you go discuss about your relationship outside, and that person start feeding into the whole thing and telling you, oh, I don't think this guy is good for you, because he's a guy, you understand? That can ruin everything.
Yeah.
So first and foremost, if you have a best friend as for opposite sex and you get into a relationship, I think in general, what it should be, like you said, boundaries. There should be boundaries. You start creating those boundaries. You let them know there's certain times you can talk, and maybe certain conversations we can have, not everything. And you have to establish that just the way with your best friend now that she's married, you can call her the same way you call her. No, the boundaries is for you respecting your partner. That's just what it's set for.
Respecting your partner or somebody else.
That's it. You're setting the boundaries because you want to make your partner feel comfortable enough to know that there is nothing else.
So what I'm trying to say is, if you're with your wife now, and you know her best friend is a male, you put boundaries in place. Now you said to her,
not me. She puts the boundaries.
Either way, doesn't matter, does it? So I'm saying, you said to your wife now, because this person that you're friends with, you've had a relationship in the days, you can only talk at certain times. Are you
No, it's not
it's-
him saying it. It's if
it's-
I have a best friend, I put the boundaries in.
Quick one.
Yeah.
If you've slept with this person,
They can't even.
that's
not
the
in the
there's a
equation,
no.
bro.
That's the best friend thing. That's your ex.
So I'm saying,
I don't know what you think.
I'm saying you can't be friends with whoever.
Your ex and still want to be nah, come on.
Yeah, I think
That's
the straightforward thing.
best
yeah.
friend is when you've not done anything. When you've done something X. It's established.
I'm gonna.
To touch on what you said, saying, and what you both said about a person, but what you talk to that person about, you should be able to talk to your partner. Here's one thing: we all have different friends that have different personalities that tap into different things for us. So I might talk to Jonathan about certain things, and we will communicate and vibe on a certain level. But I could speak to another friend, and it taps into something else, and we vibe on a completely different level. As human beings, we have different layers to our personality. So to ask someone to lock someone off that taps into something that's your friend, it's not about the fact that I can't talk to you about it. It's just a different area of friendship, of different conversation. It might be.
Can I just chip in what Mr. Michael said? The two will become one. When you become one with someone, the person needs to tap to all areas of your
Nah,
life.
that's
I'm
unrealistic,
telling you,
bro.
it's unrealistic. It's unrealistic. Yes, you can have a best friend, but when it comes to an
You might as well just get in a relationship with God then.
no, when you talk about having a best friend as an opposite sex now, if it's the person is your best friend and my partner has a best friend is a girl, cool, understandable. You can talk. There's certain things you can talk with your girl, you can talk with your. That's understandable.
Yeah.
That's very understandable. If you're a guy, you have a best friend, a guy. The same things you can tell your guy friend, you can't really talk to your girl as much as maybe games, stuff like that. Work related, understandable. But when the person is an opposite sex, that's when you have to then say, what can you tell that guy? that you
Okay,
can't
what
tell
if she
me?
likes art and I like art, but my partner is not into art?
Do you
Nah,
know?
that's-
That's when you
that's
compromise.
conversation.
That's when there's a compromise in a relationship.
No,
You can't like everything your partner likes.
But that's
You know,
what I'm
there's some
saying.
girls that say in a relationship they don't like football because their partner likes football. They get into liking football.
Oh, yeah.
That is where the
Yeah,
compromise
that's
is.
a my team, man.
I think there's. I don't know. I think there's layers to that. I hear what you're saying, but I think there's layers to that. You need to have boxes and categories for different things. It's not a one hub for all. Do you know what I'm saying? You can be. You don't want to be the master. What do they say? Master of all trades and
Jack of none.
You know what I'm saying?
That's it.
But yeah, so the point I'm trying to make is other people might be able to be very strong in areas that are suited for you that person might not be able to tap into. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree with
Well,
you.
I think
I
what you're
agree
saying
with you.
is understandable if, like, for example, you like football, then you like singing, and you have that relationship.
Yeah.
But a best friend is like they encompass everything. So it's not about, oh, we just like art and we just like dancing. It's like that one person is like, you know, your best friend.
You're very, very close.
Your everything, like not everything, but you know, like that's your go-to
No, and
person.
I still agree with that, but I'm saying you can have friends that tap into different things. So, okay, Ricky can be my best friend, one of my best friends, and Jonathan can be one of my best friends, and we communicate about different things, but we both speak every day. Do you know what I'm saying? I still speak to Jonathan every day. I'm supposed to still speak to Ricky every day, but we connect on different things. Ricky might like going out, and that's why I like going out with Ricky. Jonathan might like reading books, and we talk about fashion. Do you get what I'm saying? I just think there's layers. I don't know.
Can I just put something in this? Sorry, I'm just gonna make this even more weird.
Yeah.
So, how do you guys feel about you get with somebody and they're still friends with their ex? Because there's people that are good friends with their ex that are like, oh, we're still very cool. So how do you date? How do you date? And I'm talking about that because I've been in a situation. So it's a thing where you gotta understand that these people had a relationship which didn't work. There was no maliciousness into it, and they remain friends as such. But you're not aware of that. To you, isn't up.
Boundaries.
Maxi.
So I understand what you're saying. So
Yeah.
you can say they could be friends with their ex, understandable, but best friends come.
Yeah.
That's where.
No, I'm just throwing out that one.
You can be friends with your ex.
Yeah.
That's a cool. People in relationship on a very cordial level. They just end it and they're still cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Talk to her. Yeah. But when it moves to a best friend, when you start talking about private things that you know really upset you, maybe we get into an argument or something like that. Most times when you get into an argument, the person wants to talk to their best friend and they're talking to their ex.
Oh, just so you know, that's something I would never agree with. Anyway, but I just wanted to hear, because this is a very common thing.
Yeah,
like people date in small circles, and sometimes you're dating somebody that they're always going to be around because you share common friends and blah blah blah. So they're part of your crew. So when you introduce somebody new into that atmosphere, it's like, how do you kind of expect the reaction and stuff?
Okay, can I go to Farai and then Simon?
Yeah. For me, like, you know, I used to have a best friend who was female.
Jeez, talk about it.
Yeah. To me, I used to have a best friend who was female. When she got with the guy, and then she was like, oh, you know, we can't be close friends. I understood, you know what I mean? Because me, like, I know I'm a man, like, and I respect that. I'm like, okay, fair enough. I'm like, yeah, cool, that's cool. So yeah, so I agree, like, you know, like, you can be like friends, maybe like, you know, friends, like, not every day, because when it's best friend, like, yo, there's no like time, like, oh, you can't call me this time. Call you like, yo, this is what happened, you know what I mean? Now you're having dinner, you know, a girl is having dinner, you know, a wife is having dinner with her husband, and then this guy's calling, like, you know, like, I don't know, it's a bit like, so, and also, I do understand though what you were saying when you say, you know, what you mean by best friend, because someone else might see it differently as to what they might mean by best friend. But I'm talking in terms of, like, you know, if you say, yo, this is my best friend, like if your mom asks you,
your only go-to.
So, that's my best friend. Or that's maybe, like, you might have a female best friend, you might have a male best friend, okay, but still, I think, you know, once you get in a relationship, if it's serious as well, I think
they get demoted.
They get demoted, definitely. So like, but answering your question, like, if it's an ex, then it's ex.
I like that. Like
Simon?
No, 100% I agree. I think best friend I can't run. I can't really add any more to it. But I am in agreement with Moxie and Farai, really. Best friend with your ex. I can't run.
Dangerous.
I can't run.
So this is going to be our last question. Maya, fire away.
Okay, we just wanna, I think we mentioned it briefly, but let's just patch up on it. We mentioned about men's ego. What do you guys think is the understanding of leading? Because I think, no, Simon mentioned leading your woman. So what would you interpret that leading as? Like, is it leading her financially, spiritually, emotionally, love, Moxie said?
Come on, Ricky.
For me, I think it's such a broad question because you don't understand the dynamics of relationships are very different. Like we were talking earlier, this woman, you probably won't be able to lead her financially because she's probably well off already. So for me, I think it's more of an energy because like women have their energy, and I think like we all know, like a man, you gotta be charismatic and all of that. So I think sometimes it could be just your energy and the way you set a precedent, like how you set the tone of what that journey is gonna be. That could be leading. You gotta remember the whole point with dating is that you wanna have a family and live life with that person. So kind of like in our house, this is kind of the rhythm we're gonna go for our lives, and this is kind of like what we're setting out to achieve. So it doesn't have to be like set in stone like financially, because I might not be inspired, and I'll meet a girl that will change my inspiration, and then tap into something. You know what? You're actually good at speaking. Why don't you try this and try? And you became good at it, but it's because your woman put you on it. I mean, I was listening to Barack Obama speech, and he was talking about how Michelle taught him how to speak in public. But you would think as a politician he had to unlock. So he needed her to come and polish that. So leading is just because you're the captain, it doesn't mean you have to be dictative about it. But it just means that you having it head on, like you're taking the full impact first. Like this is the way we're gonna go, and I'm taking responsibility. Like this is what we're gonna head into.
Melissa? Any parting comments?
Yeah, I think that what was said was what I would say. I think that that there is that being a leader, it isn't about being the boss. It's not about saying that you must do what I say, but it's about leading by example. It is about taking it upon yourself to make sure that you are looking after the person, that you're helping them as well to grow. One thing that I heard before that I like is that the man needs to lead in all ways. So lead in love, lead in mercy, lead in all ways to just set the example that she can actually respect and wants to be led by. And I think it says that that a husband should love his wife as Christ loved the church, and so that means that we have to have a sacrificial, servant-like heart for the wife, the person that we're with. So it's not a leadership as in we're the boss and like we need her to do things for us. It's more we want to take it upon ourselves to be the best that we can for her. So yeah, that's how I would explain it.
Okay, John.
I agree with what Michael was saying, to be fair. Like, if we lead in love, everything will just more or less fall into place. So that's what I said to that.
What about you, Ron?
I would say to lead for the man in most sense would be to manage the team, you know, to try and alleviate as much pressure off the woman as possible. Because, and to touch on what you were saying about the strength, so the woman could be more financially stable, but being the manager of the team, recognizing the areas that need to be filled and just putting the right things in place and trying to alleviate that pressure. You know, I'd say that would be the how you would lead really. Lead is not one just area.
Yeah, I agree with what everyone has said so far. Leading with love. I also feel, just to add to it, leading with it by example, because sometimes certain things a man will expect a woman to do or you want your woman to do, but you're not doing it. So if you want your woman to care more or pay more attention to certain things, just do the same. Lead by example, because it robs off the other person. That's what I feel. Yeah, I'll just add to what everyone else has said.
So guys, do you have anything else to add? Any questions?
Yeah, far away. That's
you go.
Questions.
Okay, cool. Wow, love the discussion, guys.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for taking the time to join.
They were able to answer some of your burning questions.